All right, thanks everybody for joining us. I'm Jason Kapouch. I'm the Managing Director of Black Diamond Advisory APAC. I'm based in Sydney, Australia. Don't let my accent fool you. I've been doing CPM for almost 25 years now. I've used a number of the legacy tools and I'm pretty familiar with this space. And about 4 or 5 years ago, I made the jump over to OneStream and never looked back. And with me is Sharon Pryor. She's also based in Sydney, and Sharon is an engagement advisor, and she also has quite a bit of in-depth experience with some of other tools in the CPM space, and I'm sure that will come out here in the presentation. So without further ado, let's get into it. So the agenda for today is we'll go through a brief introduction. I don't want to spend too much time talking about ourselves because you're here for the content. We'll go into dimensionality, which is the same thing as hierarchies if you're not familiar with cubes in CPM. We'll go into integration and data reporting, and finally, we'll follow up with advanced functionalities such as machine learning, and we'll leave plenty of time for Q&A. Before we begin, I'll just mention too, once this is over, we'll send out a copy of this deck to you all in PDF format. So don't worry about taking screenshots or writing things down. You can just grab it from the PDF. So to kick it off, a little about us, Black Diamond Advisory, we started in 2019. We are OneStream's largest boutique global partner. We are 100% OneStream. That's kind of what makes us unique. We don't do any other platforms unless we're moving customers off those onto OneStream. Company was started in the US, but we have, a strong presence there. We have a Canadian entity, a European entity based in the UK, and then the APAC entity, which I run down here, which is based out of Sydney. We've got quite a few local consultants, which I'll get to on the next slide, in Sydney, Melbourne, and Perth, and basically people all over the place, as you can see. So we're pretty much a 24/7 organization. There's always stuff going on, and although it looks like we're spread out all over the world, we pretty much operate behind the scenes as a seamless organization without borders. So we're in constant contact with each other, and we can draw upon different expertise across the organization. And we sort of operate as one giant global team, although we're in different time zones. We are a OneStream Diamond partner. We're actually 5X now Diamond partner. We are the only Diamond partner in APAC, so the levels are starting at the bottom are silver, gold, platinum, and diamond. We're pretty proud of that. We specialize in complex FP&A solutions. I come from an FP&A background personally, but we also do a lot of global consolidation projects, account recs, transaction matching, and different things like that, reporting. We do a lot of financial transformation. We also do some advisory services, which is things like you may not be sure where to start on your journey. You want a roadmap. You want to engage us to do change management, to communicate the kind of evolving nature of your system to your organization. You may want us to streamline processes, take a look at things. What can I collapse? What can I do differently? What can I do better? What can I eliminate entirely? So those are some of the services that we offer. We've done over 150 OneStream projects now. Many of us are OneStream certified lead architects, including myself. And that's about all I want to say about us at the moment. I don't want to get too much into it. Let's go to the next slide. This is real quickly our team down here. So there's myself, there's Christian, who runs sales, Sharon, who'll be speaking shortly, Ananya, Sonak, Dinesh, Yaku, Sid, and Kareen. Many of us have long time experience in the CPM space, and all of us have worked on some of the largest OneStream implementations in Australia, whether that be with Black Diamond or previous stops in our careers. So we're pretty switched on in the OneStream space. I just want to throw this in here because this is kind of an exciting offering I have. So if you are currently on OneStream, another partner may have done your implementation, or you're one of our customers, we're rolling out something called Summit Services. So this is I guess you could call it support, but we don't use that word. It's a little bit different than that traditional model. So you can draw from the regular pool of consultants. We don't have a tiered support system where you're getting, lesser trained people. You're getting the proper consultant pool to work on your projects. You can do enhancements up to 40 hours from start to finish, which is great. And then you can draw down on your pool of hours if you want to use us to do support and other things. And another cool thing about this is we don't rotate people through. So you have one dedicated primary resource that is locked into your account. They know the ins and outs, and then we train a secondary backup. So there's always somebody available that knows your stuff. Okay, so some of you may be familiar with this if you know about OneStream. Others may not be. So I'm just going to take you quickly through a high level of what OneStream is. So OneStream is that it is OneStream. It is one platform. So I would say OneStream's a platform, whereas competitor or legacy software is, I would call them solutions or tools. They're not a platform. OneStream's the true platform. So what I mean by that is OneStream's a SaaS offering. It's in the cloud. You buy licenses for your organization. And then with that license, you get access to all the things you can see there on the screen. So the core things you can do within OneStream are closing consolidation, planning, budgeting, forecasting, reporting and analytics. You can bring in data from various sources, financial signaling, all those different things. That's what makes the platform very unique. It is not a point solution. So in other legacy solutions, earlier in my career, and you may be familiar with some of these, you have to buy one component, let's say to do close. Then you decide later on you want to do planning, you buy another point solution, you have to stitch those together. There's a kind of a famous slide OneStream tends to use in their pre-sales, and it's kind of a spaghetti diagram, but it really kind of nicely shows that when you use point solutions, it can be really challenging stitching it all together, getting the data to flow back and forth between all those pieces. You don't really have that issue in OneStream because it's one platform. You bring all the data into the system, and then you can take it from there. You can do closing consolidation. You can then seed those actuals into your monthly forecast. You can do a rolling forecast, which then is the basis for your annual budget. You can build reporting off that. There's reusable objects, and it's really impressive. So you can bring in all the data into what's called the staging layer within the OneStream world. But you can also have data outside of OneStream. There's a concept called blending. So you can actually blend the data which you generate within OneStream with external tables for reporting purposes. And that's kind of a cool concept because you don't have to clutter up your OneStream application with data that you don't really need to use other than for reporting. You leave it outside of the OneStream application, but you still have access to it, and you can tie it together, join it to what's in there. Another interesting thing about OneStream is you see in the very middle there, that blue circle, there's Marketplace. There's 50 plus solutions. Marketplace is similar to if you have an iPhone or an Android, you have a Google store or an Apple store, you can download apps. Those are mostly free, and you can configure those to your organization. There's things like parcel service, which allows you to email out and burst reports. There's task manager, different things like that. I won't go too much into it. And then there's something called Open Place, which is the OneStream community. The users can build applications and share those to the broader audience. And then there's the newest one called Partner Place, which is what we're involved in. So Black Diamond has an in-house software group. So we're building software on top of software. OneStream is built on the .NET framework. So we're writing our own stuff. We have about a dozen BDA utilities, which allow admins to do easy things like copy scenarios, manage metadata, different things like that. And those are always changing, and we're putting new things out there. So it's pretty exciting.
Right.
And with that, I will turn it over to Sharon. Sharon?
Great, thank you, Jason. And as you can see, I think Jason mentioned all those items that really just spoke about how flexible OneStream can be. What we're going to take a look at now is what makes OneStream a unified solution in one platform. So thank you for joining us today. I will be offering you some thought about some of the competitive considerations that you need to make when you're looking at making a decision on a tool, or if you're possibly moving from a manual current process. So there are some questions that we need to ask when we're looking at solutions in the market and how OneStream differs, and which really makes it truly unified. So some of these questions start with, do I make dimensionality changes only once for all my solutions? Do I need master data management capability? So this is really important to understand within your organizations, and what will work and what will need to go into the solution after it has been delivered to maintain your solution and ensure that everything remains aligned within your organization. You want to understand if there's a single point of integration. So moving data between solutions, as Jason mentioned, a lot of these point solutions, like a spaghetti, a can of spaghetti, there's just blurred lines everywhere. You're moving data all over the place. And this really means that you're opening yourself up to errors. Do I have access to the details of my data? So you want to understand, are you being asked to level your data up and summarize it to a level that the platform can cater due to the constraints of the platform? Or have you got the ability to really find the detail if it's needed? Do I maintain rules and logic once? You want processes to be repeatable, and you don't want to make errors in any of your solutions. And can you easily apply machine learning to data that's within your platform? And is my data sent to third parties? So these are some of the questions that we will loop back to, which if you answer no to any of these, means it's not a unified solution. So let's step through some of these. What makes OneStream unified? And why can we answer yes to all of these questions? So the first item is the extensible dimensionality. So with OneStream, it is one set of information, one point of maintenance. It's just expanded or summarized differently. So with extensibility, it's a way to give different information or different expansions of information to different groups within your organization who have different granularities of data requirements. When we look at horizontal extensibility, it refers to the concept of extending our dimensions across different scenarios. So as you can see in this case, you've got the ability to have one business unit, such as my services business unit, that has a different level of granularity in the data between the budget and the actual. This even builds onto what is known as vertical extensibility, and this goes across your different business units. So across your different business units, you may have different chart of accounts. Your services business runs a different way to your products or to your retail business. However, they've got a common parent. So as you can see in this example, I've got my services, I have my products, and they've got that common parent of net sales. And more to this, if everything has got a common parent, it means that you can roll up to what is your corporate or your group views. This is all within one dimension in OneStream, making it easy to maintain or manage. So one thing is if your organization is going through any changes of processes, growing into new markets, making new acquisitions, it is very important to be flexible and scalable in the solution so that it is important to each business unit to plan the way they need to or to report the way they need to. So you need to ensure you choose a solution that can grow with you. So this is a very high level example. If we take a look at what this looks like in, let's say, a chart of accounts, as is what we're looking at, the account dimension, and this is just one sample, we will see that all within the single application, we've got multiple chart of accounts or dimension hierarchies for the account across the products and services with multiple levels and depths within our hierarchies. So I would really like to point out, if you take a moment to look at the services budget, we could have a 10 level deep chart of account for services. However, for actuals, it might roll up to a more aggregated level. So as my business changes, I've got this flexibility to do this within my dimensions. When we have a look at what our competitive solutions can look like and why it's important is to understand what are the manual processes and the multiple workbooks or worksheets or cubes I'm going to need to build to handle this and the complexities. It's important to understand how these are built and how they come together. So each variation of the account dimension that we previously stepped through will need to be created as separate lists. And these lists may not have any relationships between them. So in order to create a relationship between all these individual lists, as we see corporate, products, services, and services budgets, we will need to create mapping tables and mapping cubes to create these relationships. So here's a very small slice of what that could look like. I need to have an account, and then I need to map it to corporate for my products and for my services. But where do these mapping tables stop, and who maintains these mapping tables? As it will mean somebody in your organization will need to manually maintain this to ensure the integrity. In addition to the mapping multiple module cubes, you also need to build to cater for each process to receive the data and to report on the data through these different levels because they are individual lists. And what this really means for your solution is that it can very quickly grow in size as the number of modules or cubes that you need to build grow. So does the size of your model. And when you're wanting to plan or report at your organization's natural dimensionality, it will involve additional costs for the different product offerings. And these additional costs come at an annual fee. So in order to go to that granular level, you now have to consider bolt-on products in order to achieve this, which sometimes mean redevelopment of your solutions as the systems and the engines behind some of these solutions differ. It may also mean that you need to introduce solutions which impact your customers. So as you start talking, my size is too big, or I'm running out of space because I need to introduce a new level or a new business unit, then often what will be one of the points of consideration is what we call flattening your hierarchy. And I've just flashed up an example of what this could look like. So when we flatten the hierarchy to cater for the sparsity, which OneStream does naturally, it would mean getting what was, as I pointed out in the previous slide, the levels of your chart of account that literally are concatenated and joined together to make one line. And this makes it exceptionally difficult for your users to navigate because they're not navigating in the natural dimensionality of your organization. So a 9-level deep, in this case, chart of accounts will be represented as follows, often with duplications in names, and then the users are not sure what are they actually looking at. So in order to summarize your data, it becomes very difficult. So these are just some of the considerations that we know why OneStream came out with the extensibility, which really was a game changer. If we look at what makes a unified solution, the next point on our agenda item was the integration and the data. And this is a critical component to every part of every project. It's about getting the data in, trusting the data, and making sure you've got your one source. So in order to accomplish this, Jason did mention the BI blend. OneStream leverages a BI blend engine. And this engine will leverage functionality that allows you to rationalize and process large transactional data sets. And this is all in memory, with the ability to write the results out to a SQL-based column store. So that means that it's not a very sparse solution. And this allows your organization's granularity in their data. Jason also mentioned something about the drill through to source. And that's where the power is of bringing what is in your source systems into OneStream so that you're getting that unified view in your dashboard layer, which is drawing from the data that may have been loaded into your cube for planning or for consolidation, the data that is sitting in a relational store within OneStream, or even going back to your source system and seeing that transaction. So as you can see in this diagram, your dashboard can bring together all of these, really giving you visibility. The added additional benefit is that OneStream will give you the ability to transform your data within the platform and outside of cubes. So why is this important? This is important because in many competitive solutions, we need to understand that in order to achieve that integration into the solution, it could involve costly third-party solutions such as Informatica, Dell Boomi, or SnapLogic, and internal IT involvement to be responsible for these integrations. So every time that you need an integration point, you will be calling on your internal IT teams in order to build this integration layer. So if you use the direct connections that are sometimes available in your competitive solutions, it may be required that the data for these solutions and the transformations for this needs to then be handled within the solution, but it doesn't handle it natively in a table. It will have to be created and built where you will create many cubes of data with many manual mapping of your data, and multiple times as you move that data through to different solutions, you will need to map and make sure the data is correct. And how does this scale with you? Because the minute you are adding your data in and having to transform this in a cube, it is not, sparsity becomes such an issue, size becomes an issue, and it's really not scaling with you. And the extensible dimensionality is really what helped as well deal with sparsity within OneStream. So often your competitive products will need to split the solution into multiple models across different workspaces. And this split can happen by a category or by department, which means that you end up with possibly 5, 6, 7, depending on how many departments or product categories you have in your organization, replications of the same solution that your internal teams will need to ensure stay aligned. So keeping the logic uniformed, and when a change needs to be made in one module, you'll have to go and replicate that change, and that's just prone to errors. So the maintenance and the enhancements of this becomes really, it's not repeatable. So with all of this, as I mentioned, what it does do as well is it just keeps adding multiple points of integration. And every point of integration that you add, you are asking for IT departments or involvement in order to move this data, especially if you are using a third-party tool, because it may be your organizational policy to stay in line with what the organizational advisements are on moving data. And that would mean involving the Informatica team every single time a new solution or the data point needs to be moved. So with OneStream, you have one application, one source of truth for your data, and that is used across all your solutions. So you can start seeing now how some of these things are really important in making this a unified solution. One of the biggest items is reporting. So you would like to report, and there is a level of reporting that needs to be done within your organization that comes from the solution and within the solution. So with OneStream, your reporting solution allows you to use the BI blend, allowing you to report at the required level of the business. It has row and column sets that can easily be called from any reports, and also allows for flexible time settings in one cube. Now, this is really important for your organization because not many people will realize how some solutions may not easily be able to put a month to date and a year to date value side by side in one report. So, if we had to look at the design of some of our competitors, what we've noticed is that there's multiple cubes that need to be built to try and represent the information that is required by organizations in a single view. So, in this example, you can see that the base cube calculates by period. It then needs to have a separate cube that is built to calculate the month to date value, and another separate cube used to calculate the year-to-date value, with a third cube to bring the month-to-date and year-to-date values together. Now, this is just to create that one exportable view for the users that they can then export and distribute within the organization. Now, if this is not done in order to export that one view, what you will find is that the multiple tables need to be exported, or the base data has to be exported, and this needs to be handled outside of the system manually and stepping straight back to the manual processes that you have possibly spent a lot of time and a lot of effort and a lot of money replacing. If the size or space often becomes an issue, as I mentioned that in all my previous slides, one thing it may mean for your organization in terms of reporting is that the solution also needs to be split across your scenarios. So as your scenarios grow within the organization, your reporting is often affected because you need to remove the scenarios outside of the solution into another workspace, moving the data. So in an example of consolidations, do your consolidation in one model, export the data per the scenarios into a replication of it inside another workspace, which is now a new integration point. And then you cannot tie the reporting across your different scenarios in the business, as you're now sitting with two separate modules. So the flexibility in your comparative analysis across your scenarios is not available due to constraints that may arise. With OneStream, this is not a constraint or an issue. With OneStream, with your reporting, Jason mentioned that the marketplace has a lot of services and offerings that you can download for free and use within across your platform. And one of these that is really useful is the parcel service functionality, which will allow you to schedule and mail your reports or your books. So when you get to your organization's close for the complete process in the month end or the year end process, for planning, whether it be planning or consolidations, you are able to use this service to ensure that that reporting is also emailed through to your users. really closing the loop on your process in the one platform. One of the other features which is really becoming relative in the marketplace today is the advanced functionality of machine learning. So with machine learning in OneStream, you can create thousands of daily or weekly demand planning machine learning forecasts, as many as you like. You can reduce your forecast bias because you've got the ability to represent all the data on the visualizations, forms, or dashboards within OneStream. You've also got the ability to maintain and retain your models to enable continuous forecasting and scenario analysis with the ability to draw back. One of the great features of OneStream is that you can also allow your data science teams to develop using Python within the platform. So within OneStream, you can build, you can deploy, and you can consume your data in one space. And why I say this is important, because often in a lot of the other solutions in the market, what you are finding is it's not within the platform. So with the competitor solutions, when you're looking to extend to machine learning, you are having to create specific modules and manipulate your data to try and get the data to be moved. You don't have the granularity in your data, as I mentioned before, because you are reliant on that cube design. So you don't have that flexibility in what we've got in our data layers in order to get to that detail for the machine learning and for the algorithms to use the best set of data it could. And often this data is moved to third-party solutions. So you either have to purchase additional solutions, or it actually gets sent to the likes of AWS Forecast, which will then run the algorithms and the forecasts within their platforms and then send it back. So truly, is your data remaining in your workspace and within your platform? No. Is it unified? No. So when you're looking at machine learning, you would like to give yourself the flexibility of being able to build on top of it, but to also ensure that it's all within one space. So if we had to look back now to some of the questions that we asked ourselves right in the beginning, was let's go through them. If we answered no to any of these, then it's not truly unified. So we could be talking any Excel or manual process or any current solution that you're using. And I think there's a few ways which we have now shown that with OneStream, we can answer yes to all of these questions. So thank you very much for your time.
All right, thank you, Sharon. If you want to get started or you would like to reach out to engage with us, you can contact myself or you can contact Christian. Our emails are there on the screen, or you can give us a ring. I'm more than happy to speak to you. Let's do some Q&A. So there's some questions that have been asked out there. One of them I see is, as it is a cloud platform, where is the data stored? Are we sending data outside of Australia? The answer to that is data with OneStream is stored on Microsoft Azure, and it stays in Australia. So the data centers are in either Sydney or Melbourne. So your data does not leave the country. What else? I think there were some that were kind of answered here. So, is it considered an IT product or a finance product? How much IT involvement is required while implementing OneStream? That's a really good question. So, OneStream is a finance product. The involvement to get it configured involves minimal IT support. Usually the involvement there is working with OneStream to configure single sign-on SSO, which if you have the stuff, you can do it in 15 minutes or less. And then we need to build connectors to your data source. So that could be, you know, SAP, it could be NetSuite, it could really be anything. OneStream is data agnostic or source agnostic, so we don't really get too concerned about what the data source is. It could even be a middle layer like a data lake or something where you're putting it, or Google Cloud Platform. We just need to know, based off the requirements in design, where are the tables that the data resides at, and that's basically the involvement of IT. They may need to create some views if necessary to get that data in the right format in place, but the involvement of IT is pretty minimal. If you're doing a console project, you know, some people do console and planning and account recs all at once. Some people will do console first and then do a phase 2 of account recs, or you could do planning first and then do console. You know, there's infinite combinations there of what you can do with all this stuff in OneStream. It's pretty easy to implement. How easy is it to access the data in relational data store transform rather than through a dashboard or cube? Just as simple as querying data through SQL Server Management Studio. It's pretty easy to look at data within OneStream, whether it be the cube or a relational data store. The basis of OneStream is it's called a cube view. You may be familiar with the term forms on other products, but we call it cube view in the OneStream world. And it's as simple as building an object behind the scenes using a SQL connector, and you can connect into that, pull the required data through your SQL statement. It's pretty simple to do, and pull it into the cube view, and then that cube view can be used as the basis for a dashboard or a highly formatted report, or whatever it is you happen to be doing. Let's see. Is it possible to drill back to ERP to view detailed transactions? Yes. So that's kind of a nice thing. You don't have to pull all that data all the way into OneStream. You can leave the detailed transactions in your ERP, whatever that may happen to be, and you bring in the high level or aggregate balances in the OneStream, and then you can drill through back into the source system, which is really handy. I think those are some of them. There's an open one. How many clients in Australia have purchased OneStream? So in total, there are 1,100, I think maybe even 1,200 now OneStream customers globally. Out of that, there are almost 40 in Australia. So pretty large companies have purchased OneStream down here. And, you know, some of the larger global names would be, you know, Walmart, UPS, the package delivery company in the US mainly, and kind of spanning all different industries, mining, retail. You know, personally at Black Diamond, you know, we've hit almost every industry you can imagine, real estate, manufacturing, you name it. They've pretty much gotten in there. So it continues to grow. We found that there's been tremendous response and pickup in OneStream down in the APAC market, especially with some of the other vendors changing their pricing structure. Some of them have increased licensing costs quite a bit. Others are deprecating certain versions of the legacy product and forcing customers to do a costly shift to the cloud. And that kind of can be unsettling because you can't do a cost analysis of what it's going to run you over, let's say, a 5-year period, whereas OneStream, in OneStream, you would buy the licenses directly from OneStream. You would not buy them from Black Diamond. We just serve as the implementation partner on the services side. But what OneStream, you know, you buy the licenses and you get access to all of this because you're not dealing with, you know, that point solution world. So, you know, you buy a license and then you get access to everything. Next question. What would be the implementation experience like? Can we take advantage of hierarchies already built in another platform? I'll answer the second part first. So yeah, you can take advantage of hierarchies pretty easily. You just need to dump them or export them as a flat file, as an example, and then you can massage it if you need to, real lightweight, and then pull it back into OneStream to build your hierarchies. There's 8 user-defined dimensions on top of the system enforced ones in OneStream, so you have lots of flexibility there. Now, what would an implementation experience look like? Typically, the way we do it is we would come in, we would do a scoping with you and get kind of high-level requirements. We would come back with a full-blown proposal and estimate, and then if you decided to move forward, what we would do is we would do a kickoff to get everybody aligned, mobilize, schedule the workshops. We know who's going to be involved in the project, the demands on their time, when you need to be available. We'd run a series of workshops to get the requirements. Out of that, we would produce a requirements traceability matrix. And we would also, at that time, know what's required so we could start getting on the data integration side, so we can work out where the data is going to be that we need, what format it needs to be in, where the views, where are we going to get it. And then we would do an application design. We would know, what the dimensional hierarchies are going to look like, the cubes, what we're going to use for relational, all those different things. And then you would sign off on that. We'd proceed to a build process. And then we would go into UAT. We tend to do solution previews along the way because we don't want to get to UAT and then find that it's not what you were expecting. So we kind of take you along in that journey. And our center of excellence is also looking at the build as well. We have experts in every kind of domain under OneStream, but in particular, the 2 guys, Selvin and Cameron, they literally wrote the OneStream book on planning. They're published authors with kind of the Bible to OneStream planning. So you go through UAT, and then you would go through your internal training and rollout, and then you would go live. So that's kind of what a typical implementation path would look like. Any other questions? Let's give everyone 30 seconds in case you're furiously typing away. Okay, well, excellent. Like I said, we'll send this deck out to you as a PDF, and if you'd like to talk to us some more, feel free to reach out. And I thank you for your time, and have a great day. Have a great weekend. Thank you.